I'm Annie.
And I'm Susan.
And this is...
Two friends. I'm so nervous every time that I'm going to say two girls again that I think too hard.
Oh my god, I'm the one that messed up though. I was like, this is...
What is it? What are we doing?
Oh, Lord.
It's two friends, one chat.
Two friends, one chat.
Yeah.
And let's just get it out of the way now. We have an email. You should contact us. We have an Instagram. You should follow us.
Annie, you can do it. You can say it right this time. I know you can.
So, I love the way you framed it last time. No numbers. Everything spelled out.
Use your words.
twofriends.onechat@gmail.com.
Done and done. Perfect!
Ooh.
You did it. You crushed it.
You know what?
You crushed it.
I'm putting that in the win bank for today.
100%. A win bank, huh?
Yeah.
I've heard of a spank bank, but not a win bank.
You know what we actually do? This is a term, we'll get into this, but there is an approach that I really like, a therapeutic approach called TBRI, which is Trust-Based Relational Intervention.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about, for kids, it starts with kids, but this is true for everyone that's experienced trauma, filling their yes bank. So when you've experienced trauma, you need someone who can say yes to you as much as possible, because when you heard no, it probably was associated with like your most basic needs weren't being met. So when you hear a no, that's the relationship that you go down to. So, and we will do so many episodes on TBRI. It will come up a lot.
Oh yeah.
But yes, the yes bank is real. So yes, however you want to name it. It's a huge part of life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, I know this was technically just an intro, but I do have to jump in because this is what we do. You were saying it was for kids, right?
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
But everything that's good for kids is good for us as adults because, again, another episode we'll get to later, those core wounds, right?
Oh.
At our center, we are our hurt little baby selves, right?
Yeah.
So that's why if it's good for a kid that's actually a kid right now, it's probably going to be good therapeutically for us as adults.
Let's do core wounds next episode.
Okay.
Yeah. Because today we're going to talk about the power of language. And I am freaking hyped to talk about it.
The power of love.
That's exactly where my mind went.
Oh.
But like language. Yes.
I know
was
you
tracking.
were thinking the same song I was thinking. That's what we do. I just got to it first this time.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, but we will come back to, we'll do core wounds and then maybe a little bit about TBRI and brain trauma. Next. But today, we get to talk about language.
Language is...
What? Okay, today's Get to Know You activity.
Yes.
Because we're talking about language, we're talking about the power of language.
Yes.
Is going to be 3 words that describe you.
Guys and gals and non-binary people. Language is so big.
It is so big.
And this is another great way to get to know somebody. Someone new and someone not new.
Yeah.
I don't think we always take the time to really get to know people we already know.
Oh, I love that.
So I'm just saying, use it. Try it. Do it. Gonna blow your mind.
And it's just fun.
It's gonna blow your mind.
Okay. Do you want to do like, should we go, you go 1, I go 1, or should we go like, just name our 3?
I think all you, all me, like all the one person at a time, so we really get to know you for a few minutes, and then we really get to know me for a few minutes.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay.
Because I want to give you and me the time and space to share ourselves.
Okay.
Instead of bouncing, if that's okay with you.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
Okay.
And I think I'm ready to go.
Yes!
Okay.
Girl!
Okay.
Go!
Okay.
Do it!
I think of 3 things that describe me, and I'm going to dwell on the positives, right? And I think perspective, you always want to just, if you can view yourself in a positive, you build yourself up.
Thank you. I'm going to do positive too then when it's my turn. Okay. Thank you for saying that.
Oh, yeah. Because we all have a dark side, and it's so important that we focus on the things that are amazing about ourselves.
Can you love me? Can you love mine?
Oh.
It's Kelly Clarkson's song. So that's where that came from. But let's stay on our lighter, positive side.
Yeah.
For the get to know you today.
Okay, so I will say creative is probably my first and foremost.
Yes.
You guys, I love to create. If I could have any job, that, well, that's not true, because I actually really do love putting positivity out there and the construction pieces of my work. But I am completely fulfilled when I am creating. So that is just bam.
You are crazy creative. That's a great one. It's a great one.
Oh, I love it so much too. Let's see. I would say creative. I would say education, which I know technically isn't like an adjective. It's more concrete.
Educated.
Yeah, but I'm more like want to exude education. Like but not. Maybe that sound bad. That sounds like I'm trying to force stuff on people. But I'd like people that were like in my orb of influence or like around me. I would like them to have really good experience with like, well, even statistics sounds so boring, but that's what I want. I want people to know.
I feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe like educational support or somehow, because it comes across as support. You want the people in your orb or world to feel supported.
Yes.
But in an educated way. Yeah,
and I think maybe the more we even unpack it as like education without fear. Like, you know, like really removing that fear element of education. So, I mean, here's something interesting about language. We're somewhat limited, right? And so, yeah. So I think that's why it's helpful to kind of explain what we mean by that. But I would like people to experience non-fear-based actual knowledge in a way that like is done with the ultimate level of kindness.
Right.
So I think that's what I mean when I say the word education, although I think that has an implication. That's the other thing about language, right? One word's going to mean a bunch of different things to different people.
10 different things to 10 different people. That's why we have to be so careful.
And we really do. Okay, so my third one, I would say,
Wow.
I'm not sure I can think of a third one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I would go, I mean, there's a million words I could use to describe you.
Yeah.
But, well, I go back to supportive. I just think you are one of the most supportive people I know in my life, and I'm pretty sure you are like that with everybody.
Yeah.
When I think of you, the first thing that comes to mind for me is that I'm gonna get unconditional support.
Fact.
In whatever I'm doing and choosing.
Yep. I am your biggest fan.
Yes.
Yeah. That's really beautiful. We'll make that one my third.
Oh.
And what I, as a social worker, strive to do, right? I want to find inside of people what they want, what they, as long as it's healthy, right? And I want to like nurture those things and get them to grow really big so they are their own best selves.
We want to meet them where they're at and then support them in where they want / sometimes need to go.
Oh, I love that.
100%.
We have the coolest job. And we literally picked the coolest job.
Yeah. For us.
Yeah.
For some people, it'd be awful and horrible and they would hate it and it would not go well. But for it...
Sure.
I say that all the time. Like, I literally cannot imagine doing anything else with my life. I can't. I was meant to be here.
Oh, man. Middle adulthood's so awesome.
It is. Kind of is, actually. 20s are rough, man. But you get into the 30s and it's like, who cares?
Hey, if you're
going to do me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're in your 20s listening to this, just know we support you.
You got this.
You got this.
Will get through your 20s.
Yes, you are important. And you are magical.
Yeah. And you're listening to us in your 20s, so you're probably going to do even better in your 20s than we did.
The tube!
Oh, no. That is a whole nother episode.
Probably a less clinical one.
That's not a clinical episode. That is just a train wreck.
Just so you know, a long time ago, that was a club in Portland. And we frequented there. There's many a stories
Then they got all classy and fancy, and we stopped going.
Yeah, that was weird.
Don't go to the tube for candles.
Your red curtains are fooling no one.
Gross.
No one.
Stop. Yeah. You're supposed to be nasty and disgusting.
Ew.
Yeah. One. Anyway.
Okay, now your turn. Your turn.
Okay.
Your three.
We digress.
We digress.
3 words that describe me, because language is important. And
That's
again,
beautiful.
I have to say, we can't just say the words, right? We have to say why, because language is important.
Yeah.
And because a word to me might mean something totally different to someone else.
Yeah.
So, 3 words that describe me. One, I would say caring.
Yeah.
I care about everybody all the time. Maybe sometimes too much.
Mm-hmm.
But you're just like, yep, we're gonna let you unpack that. Yes.
But it's such a beautiful gift, and you are.
I think for a long time I fought it.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, it creates a lot of hurt.
Yeah.
And a lot of heartbreak. But I wouldn't want to be any other way.
Awesome.
I would never want to be closed off.
Yeah.
Untrusting. Like, I'd rather get hurt.
Yeah.
But have the gigantic open heart that I have for literally everybody. Like, people I shouldn't even have a heart for. Yeah. I mean, you know who I'm talking about. I mean,
of course.
There's a list of them, but... So I would say caring, for sure. Another one that I would say is... I think I'm super open-minded.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if, I really do think, people have to do what works for them.
Yep.
No one should judge anyone else on what they're doing to get through. People gotta people. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if it works for you and you're not hurting anybody, go for it.
I love that.
Go for it.
Yep. You do you.
And I think that's part of what makes me and you, I think you're pretty open-minded as well. Good social workers, right? Because we have to be open and accepting of wherever the people we're working with are and what they're doing and how they're living their life. Yeah. So I would go with open-minded.
I love that.
Number 3. Why is number 3 always harder?
It is
that
hard.
last one is always harder.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I was going to throw one out
there.
Okay.
Please.
And I need to define it because I think that when people hear this word, it can be not a word that, so the word I'm thinking of is just beautiful. So if you, but I understand that sounds like
most people go straight physical, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I'm okay looking. I'm not the prettiest. I mean, you'll see our picture eventually at some point.
Stop. Don't
I'm
even
all right.
say,
I'm
don't
all right
say
looking.
what you're going to say.
I'm not society's standards of beautiful.
Oh, my God.
So, but again, no, you
think you're not.
This is the power of language. So please continue what your definition of language in regards to me is.
So you will never, if you guys get to meet Susan, first of all, you're going to be very lucky. But you'll also never, it's I really do believe in energies. I believe people...
Yes.
And being in your energy is amazing. And so I think that's just you. Your entire being is just this
beautiful energy.
And physical. It's not, I don't want to but I just don't want it to be just the physical piece.
Right.
But just, and the way you are socially with people is fucking mind-blowing, graceful, smooth, great, so it's you're being so
wow,
that's the word I would put on there because I just you guys, Susan can walk into the most awkward party.
It's true.
Fucking just own it. All of a sudden everyone's having a good time,
new best friends,
new inside jokes, people are laughing, it is there's something there, it's magical. So
yeah, 100%.
I mean, yeah, so that's the word I would say. It's kind of cute that we both got to do each other's third word.
Thank you. I love this. Getting to know you.
Oh, see, we made up an exercise even kind of on accident. You could do, your partner could say 2 words, your friend could say 2 words, and then you could do third.
You do the last.
Stop.
Oh, we are pumping ourselves up and each other up all in the same getting to know you activity. Give it a try. Just try it. With it, whoever. Your coworker.
Okay, I love it.
Your Uber driver.
I love it.
Because it would honestly kind of or Lyft, whatever you do, whatever you're using.
Yeah.
It would kind of be cool to hear someone's third of you only after not knowing you very long. Like, what is someone picking up really quickly on you? I kind of please try that for us.
Yeah. I am an introvert, so that sounds terrifying.
Okay, don't do it.
I'll be
Scratch that.
No strangers, but if you're an extrovert,
scratch that.
Do it. You know?
We'll just be together in the car or the bar or wherever we are, and we'll try it. I'll try it for you.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be you. Because I'm like, if we don't have to break the plane of conversation, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I can't do it. I'm a very small pitcher of interaction energy, and it gets empty real quick.
Just pour that pitcher out. Yep. Just got a little bit of water in the bottom, so it doesn't take long.
We will totally talk about that too in an episode where
for sure.
We just talk about the differences of being an introvert versus an extrovert.
And what that really means. I don't think people really even 100% understand that, but yeah.
And how that can look and how it can cause discord in relationships and how it can really be a strength in relationships as well. So
we'll get there.
Yeah, that's a fun topic. But today we're talking about language. I know. I mean, there's so much to unpack there. Yeah.
It's intense.
Yeah. I'll tell a little bit of how this came up as like a topic idea. So I'm in supervision, which is, as everyone knows, I'm 2 hours away from being able to take my test.
Whoop, whoop.
I don't think we covered this, but Susan already took her test and passed like a goddamn boss.
I did.
She is official.
And don't tell anybody, but I did not study. It was a rough little period in my life, and I just did not have the capacity to study. I passed, and that's what's important. I barely passed, but I passed, and no one cares what my score was, just that I passed.
I love that.
So I'm going to try and pat myself on the back.
Hell yeah.
Annie is a crazy studier, so she's going to crush this test.
And you know what?
Crush it.
I'll just take it again.
Then you just take it again?
Yeah. Yep.
Who cares?
No shame in it.
Because here's the thing.
Yep.
I already know you're a good social worker. Like, you know, and I think you know at your core you are as well, right?
Yeah.
So, I know we have to take the test to, like, make ourselves more profitable in, you know, the business world.
Yeah.
But you know at your core you're already good at what you do. So, whether you pass a stupid test or not on the first try is, like, it's bullshit.
Yeah. That's what I think, too. And there's so many levels of testing. I mean, I'm very hopeful. But I also give myself tons of slack, like test anxiety, you know, all the things. So, and I am a slightly anxious human, so.
What?
High strung and anxious?
What?
Oh my gosh. This is probably the most honest, like, it's just a very honest podcast.
We both have crazy, ridiculous anxiety.
Yeah,
like,
guys. It's real.
It's legit.
Yeah.
But we're both working on it, and I'm really proud of us.
I am too, and I'm making really great progress. And it is really starting to positively affect my life to have tools and skills, and which is kind of a huge part of why I wanted to do this podcast is like, I want to share that knowledge because you can listen to a podcast whenever you want.
Yep.
And also, this cannot replace therapy. Sidebar. I think we all know that.
100%.
But we could, I hope to gear this to be a tool in your tool belt.
Yes.
Okay, wait.
Oh, that's right. We totally rabbit holed there.
Yep.
Coming back to language, you're in supervision. That's where that started.
We're in supervision, and we're talking about the power of language and how important it is. A huge part of our job is writing clinical. So, you know, when you write clinical, you remove, ideally, shame and blame from situations. I usually have to
strength-based.
Totally strength-based, right? and honest, right?
Yeah.
Because I write treatment plans. And so a part of what I do is go through and make sure that the information is behaviorally based. You want to describe the actions that are happening. So
yes.
Like, one of the things we started to talk about was how relationship-based humans are.
Oof.
So at our core, this is like some of my favorite brain science. Science has currently replaced our species' need for relationship at our core of our existing functions. So
wow.
You know how like you breathe, but you don't like tell yourself to breathe?
Right. It just does it.
The same is true with relationships. So at any given moment, 80% of your brain power is devoted to keeping you in relationship with other beings, however that may look for you. So this is just this huge thing we know about our species is we are driven by relationship.
I need a mind blown bell.
Oh,
we
yes,
need to get one of those.
We gotta get one.
Holy, I mean, keep going, but you are sparking some stuff here for me.
Yeah, I think this is like, and so when we realize that all the, like 80% of our brain is just working to keep us in relationship with other people, and that language is one of our primary expressions of that, although, you know, more along the lines of 80% to 90% of conversation is actually observed in other ways, like tone.
Oh, sure,
sure. All the subtle things. So
all that nonverbal communication stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I think language is such a primal part of that, and it really has the power to improve that relational bond or harm that relational bond.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I think that's why it kind of was, I always knew language was important, but this really spurred this like line of thinking. It is extremely important and really an expression of our core beings.
Yes.
So that led to chit-chatting, if you will, about the power of language.
We do love to chit-chat.
Oh, we do. We just hang out. We do
love to chit-chat.
Chit-chat.
That is big brain science stuff, which is, I think, can come across like intimidating to some people.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not. It's not. It just is. It's just science's way of explaining the way we are, but
yeah,
it's not scary.
No, it isn't.
I kind of find it comforting,
I do too.
to know that, like, I'm not,
yeah,
like, totally crazy or misthinking, right? That there's legit reasons.
Yes.
Why I do some of the good or bad things that I do.
And I can't wait to talk about core wounds next week, because we're going to kind of start to see this pattern of expression of how you were raised is how you are going to pursue relationship. You can't really fix that 80%, right? That is who we are as a species. That is always a drive.
Yes.
But how we've learned and what we've learned trickles into our adulthood, and which is hard. You don't really have any power, you know, like you didn't pick your parents. Nobody picks their parents or their upbringing or the circumstances that happened to them as children. So, and we'll sidebar because that's going to be a great conversation about core wounds. But right now we just really want to focus on how important it is, and maybe give some examples of ways to express yourself with using language as a positive tool, right? Because just like any tool, it can do harm, but it can also, like,
words hurt.
Build. Like,
words
hell
hurt.
Yeah. Sticks and stones may break my bones, and words fucking destroyed me.
I
just made that
snap. Look for the merch. Oh, snap! That was a good one.
It was pretty good. I'm like kind of like, oh, this is a good vibe. Yeah.
Well, and that, I mean, really, let's dig into that, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we realize or recognize words can physically hurt us, right?
Yes.
When you are hit with emotional trauma, which I think a lot of the times comes from words or the language that is used at you, that can physically, right? Your brain's going to react to that the same way it might to, like, getting punched in the face. Right? It hurts the same.
Yeah. The really interesting thing to me about language, though, and this is why I'm so excited to talk about, is, like, I think we can all remember times people spoke things over us. Oh, man. First, before I even sidebar into that, we have to talk about, they did a study where they randomly picked kids completely at random and said, you got the Academic Achievement Award, and guess who statistically did better the next year in school?
That kid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there is the power of, like, especially in a power dynamic when...
Yes.
So it is, man, it is so imperative and so important that, one, we look at these studies and start to realize, and it makes sense, right? Because if 80% of your entire being is racing towards,
Yeah.
so any level of positive, you're going to fall right,
And if we know how bad negative words or verbal exchanges hurt, which I think we stick on too much, like that should show us the power positive will have. And I think I read somewhere once, it takes something like 10 positives to negate one negative. Do you know? So if you were told you were stupid one time, it's going to take someone telling you you're smart 10 times to get rid of that one negative time.
Man, I gotta tell you, I feel like it would take more than that for me.
More
I think.
than 10. Add a 0.
Can you remember a time someone said something to you positively and you think back on it?
Ooh.
Because I definitely can.
I mean, it's hard, right? Because yes, I can remember those times, right? But my brain, I think, like, struggles to believe when people say that.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
So I can remember it, but I don't think it ever has as big of an effect on me because my brain is so good at telling me the opposite. Yeah. So I don't think it sticks as much.
There are very few times that I can remember it having a layer. Like, I can tell you where we were. And I'll just tell the situation. Like, I really struggle if I ever make mistakes, right? Just any mistake.
Yeah.
As I'm sure we all do, and we beat ourselves up over it. And I was like, this was like 2 years later, I'm still kicking myself over the same stupid thing I said. I ran my mouth when I shouldn't have, and I was in the Explorer with, we have like a car that we use to cart the dogs. So I'm in there with my husband, and I was like, man, I kind of was like re-shame spiraling about something that happened 2 years ago.
Oh, yes.
And I had been with my husband for quite a while at this point, and just really focusing on that. And I was like, I just hate it so much when I make mistakes. And I was kind of just basically talking out my shame spiral. And my husband just looked at me, he's like, yeah, but like, you make so few of them.
Oh.
And it was such a weird, because like, I really do trust him. Like, very, like, so like, there are very few people whose words really have weight for me.
Yes.
Yeah. So as an introvert, right? I got like, just like just a little circle.
That's another great point. Who's the language coming from?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in my job, I've had lots of people use lots of words for me, and it just, I don't even remember it. Like, it just doesn't bother me,
Yeah.
But if that were to come from my core group, that would be really impactful in a negative way, right? Like, if they used that language, but just having those, it really freed up pieces of my brain to be like, every human makes mistakes. And it was just this really positive, impactful moment.
Yeah.
Where I started to realize, oh my goodness, like, language and the things we say to people have so much impact. Like,
and ourselves.
Oh wow.
And I mean that again, that could be a whole other episode.
But yes.
Right? But the things we say to ourselves.
Yeah. Because
the one nice thing you say to me, I'm gonna tell myself 100 words.
Yeah.
To not believe it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We just gotta do better at positive language with ourselves and each other.
Which I think, oh man, this is such a beautiful concept, because I think when we start internally speaking positively to ourselves, it will only flow out of you in positive ways. And the same is, unfortunately, that inverse is also true, right? So if you're going to say, I suck, man, I didn't do what I thought I was going to do today, and you're not cutting yourself any slack, guess what you're going to do to the people around you?
Sure.
The same thing. Oh my gosh, I love that.
No, that's so true,
much.
Though.
It
that's a
is
great
true.
point. That's a great point.
So is yours, like, this idea of, like, language has to start internally, right? Like,
right.
your self-worth, your self-value, what you're telling yourself. Like, what language are you using to talk about yourself?
Why do you think I have so many Post-its all over my house?
Yeah.
Telling myself nice things, because my brain doesn't automatically do that on its own. It's something I'm working on.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to take that step of like, okay, I'm going to write those nice things and I'm going to put them places.
I love that.
So I'm seeing those words and I'm reading those either in my head or out loud to myself every day.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean you're going to believe them right away, right?
Yeah.
That's not the point. That none of what we talk about is a snap change, right?
Exactly.
Everything we're going to ever talk about on this podcast is going to take time to do.
Yep.
And one of my steps was just writing. Just write those words and post them and just read them. And then my next step was reading them out loud.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I had to baby step it.
Yeah.
I had to baby step it.
I love that.
I love that we got so quickly to our internal language. Because you're right. It's so important. It's so important.
And I think, too, like, I'm going to keep going back to this, like, 80% idea of just this, our bodies are relational. Our beings are relational. Mm-hmm. So if we're not having an internal monologue of concepts that are positive, like, how is that 80% of our just natural interacting with each other going to come off?
Yeah.
Like, and so I think, man, I didn't expect us to go this route when we were chatting about language, because there's so much to unpack. We'll probably have to do another language episode.
I think so.
But I think we've hit on something so important, is like, what are our internal, like, monologues and words that we're using to describe ourselves?
Yeah.
Like, what are they?
Yeah.
And also, how much time do we actually spend dwelling on, because everyone has strengths and weaknesses. That is just your human condition. No one can be totally perfect. That's so odd. And even the most perfect person in a different situation is going to fail, right?
Yes.
So this is all about, like, we're strength puzzling here.
Perfect is not a thing.
No.
Poo on perfect.
Yeah, poo on perfect. I actually love this, speaking of language and phrases, but I love the concept of best is the enemy of better.
Ooh.
And it's that to me made a lot of sense, because I will always strive for, like, this idea of perfection and all all these things.
Yeah.
And that's so stupid. I spend so much time dwelling on that. I don't, like, just go for a walk or, like, do things that will, like, naturally help me feel better.
Yeah. Snap. Yeah.
I digress because but I think that this idea of our internal, what are we saying to ourselves?
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. And I think it makes me think, like, sometimes I even do this to myself, right? I try to, like, clarify with myself.
Yeah.
What did I mean when I said
wow,
I was stupid or ugly or whatever, right? And I think that's even more important to do with other people.
Yeah.
I think we can't be afraid to clarify what someone meant.
Yeah.
When something comes across, good or bad.
Yeah.
But also when we truly don't understand, like maybe what word they've used or how they've identified themselves or whatever that is.
Yeah.
I think we need to be okay with learning and educating and respectfully clarifying.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? Can you explain that more to me? Because it felt weird or awkward or whatever it's feeling towards you.
I love that. And I love that reflective piece, and reflective can just help you, it really prevents, like, overreaction in, like, communication. So, like, if you said something language-wise, I heard something else, I can say, hey, can we pause really fast?
Yeah, let's time out.
Yep, time out. You guys can't see, but we're actually literally giving the time out signals.
Yeah.
I do this all the time. I'll hold up, I'll make, like, the hashtag with my fingers, and I'll be like, can we hashtag pause, please? In meetings. Because what you said is this, what I heard is this.
Yes.
I feel like there's some miscommunication.
Yes.
And it can diffuse a situation super easily.
100%.
Oh, it's so helpful. So, and the interesting thing is that humor piece, like the hashtag pause, will start the diffusing process really quick.
Using a little humor in there.
Oh, I pepper that in. Yeah. I think that's really helpful.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because language is just, it's so wrapped in our communication.
Yeah. I think a really simple way to try this out that maybe wouldn't feel confrontational at all.
Yeah.
Is if you're in a situation like this, just saying like, here's what I heard.
Love that.
So you're putting it on yourself, right? So it shouldn't come off aggressive or confrontational to the other person.
Yeah.
And then that gives them a chance to then clarify if you did hear it right or wrong.
Love that. Love that.
So it doesn't always have to be this big stop everything. Let's hash this out, because I understand in some situations that could feel too much. So just a quick. So what I hear is what I think you said is this, and then let them decide if you got it right or not. Yeah.
And you can even say like, and how that impacts what I hear is like these, and I think this is a tool you can use in professional meetings. It actually can be really helpful for systems work, but
yes.
And again, we're totally digressing. We're going to have to do pepper in maybe some language, just like unpacking, because I really do want to cover the piece of how important language is when we are honoring people's identities, and how like that is very impactful, because we know 80% of our beings are pushing to be in relationship.
Yes.
And knowing this, like, words, but I think that we covered today's lesson plenty. I mean, I guess I wouldn't call it a lesson, but chit chat about what are our internal monologues saying, and maybe just starting to be aware of that.
Oh my goodness, 100%. Yeah. I mean, that's the first step, right?
Yeah.
Just starting to notice those.
Wow.
And then we'll dig in further later on like actual work on that.
Oh my gosh. Well, on that note, I hope you guys come back and hang out again.
For sure.
I love hanging out, and again, it's so important to me that people know you are important. You are so important, and you're valuable, and
just like you are. If you don't do anything else ever, you're still valuable.
Yes.
And wanted and wonderful.
Oh, I love and wanted and wonderful.
Wanted and wonderful, for sure.